Welcome back. I am Largo and today we're getting into another Mortal Kombat 1 video. Today it's going to be the official launch trailer. We're getting close, guys. We're getting so close. The game is almost here. I think it's only a couple days away at this point and I'm ready. I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. So let's go ahead and jump right into the trailer. Check it out, do a little bit of breakdown, see if they show us anything new that we haven't seen yet.
Having liberated the hourglass and become keeper of time, I was free to craft a new era of peace.
As long as I've known you, you've dreamed of leaving things young.
Is it so wrong to want some excitement?
The time draws near for the grand martial arts tournament between Earthrealm and the Outworld.
It has begun.
It has begun! Woo, what is that? What did I just see?
You are woefully unprepared, Earthrealmer. This will be your last battlefield.
Oh! Alright, spear. Nitara. Yo, look at this combo. Oh, nasty. Oh, JCVD, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Alright, we'll talk about him a little bit later. I think he's a very interesting, unique, even historical figure for Mortal Kombat to pull on. So we'll talk about that in a minute.
Two Johnnies, one timeline.
Man, this has mega hit written all over it. Inferior clans who will fall to the Lin Kuei.
Okay, the new game mode. Test your mic.
There will be spoils in this war. Let us win it first, brother. I will aid you.
If you fight tomorrow, the symptoms of your disease could manifest. Kitana will take your place.
There are already whispers she should replace me as your heir.
Your race can shapeshift.
So good.
I am your deliverer, Shang Tsung. Join me, and I will put the realms at your feet.
That's interesting.
My destiny.
Oh, Shang Tsung, all right. Oh, he just shapeshifted twice.
The threat you pose ends today.
Oh! Damn. Okay, Kung Lao. Well, wow. Whew. I've heard of a snake oil salesman, but man, Shang Tsung is taking it to the next level, isn't he? Well, that was the official trailer. Let's go ahead and roll that back one more time. There's a couple things in here I think that we need to address that seem pretty interesting, at least from a story standpoint, some of it from a gameplay standpoint, but let's go ahead and check this out. All right, so we start off with Melina here, and got a couple interesting things that we see with her gameplay. We see her teleport teleports coming from behind. Yep, like that. And then she does this air spin, which I think is a completely new move, right? She does this air spin and she's throwing out her size while she does it. But here's what I saw that just blew my mind here. She rolls forward, right? Pins Kung Lao down with her size through his feet. And then take a look at this. Melina has Tarkatan blades coming out of her arm. Wow. So we know she's got the Tarkat virus. This is a whole new way that they're introducing the Tarkatans. They're actually kind of reframing the entire idea of Tarkatans entirely. Rather than being an outworld race, it's now a disease of some kind, almost like a mutation of some kind. It's always kind of been the thing where Melina, in the past, her story was that she was artificially created using both Tarkatan DNA and Kitana's DNA. And that's where Melina came from. So this time around, it seems like Melina and Kitana are probably sisters. And Melina has been infected with this Tarkat disease. I would put money on it by Shang Tsung because he's got those giant hypodermic fingernails, you know? He's kind of rocking the Arkham look for Scarecrow with the hypodermic needles. But not only does she have Tarkat DNA now, but she has full Tarkat mutations, not only with the mouth, but with Baraka-style arm blades for Melina now. That's crazy. That's awesome. So let's keep going here. Look at that, Tarkat arm blades. We got Scorpion here throwing out his spear that gets dodged, but the interesting thing here is Shujinko comes out, throws out a spear, which Shujinko's always been a character that has stolen people's moves. Not in the same way that Shang Tsung does, but he's a move copier. So he's also a cameo, which makes me question how he actually functions in this game. Is he going to have his own set of moves that copy characters? Or, and I think this is probably the more interesting of the two ideas, is does Shujinko copy the moves of whatever character your opponent chooses? If that's the case, that would make Shujinko the most versatile character of all, if he's just able to pull from the movesets of any character that your opponent picks. That would be crazy. All right, now we got my boy Rico here. I am really curious to see what they do with him, where he goes, what his whole story is. I know a lot of it's probably going to change from the past. Even though he's a character that doesn't show up very often in a lot of these games, I really liked him because I enjoyed his design. I really, really, really enjoy his design. The shoulder pads, for whatever reason, going all the way back to like Mortal Kombat 4, I really, really love like his upper body shoulder pad type gear he's got going on. It's very reminiscent of like a Shao Kahn style. It's his original incarnation was almost like a miniature version of Shao Kahn mixed with like one of the Mortal Kombat ninjas. He was like the ninja version of Shao Kahn, if that makes any sense. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know how I feel about Shao Kahn. Probably my hands down favorite character across the board for Mortal Kombat. So having like a mini version of him that's also a ninja was always cool. So I'm really interested to see what they do with him this time around. It looks like they're really leaning away from the ninja aspect and making him more of just a brawler, but I'm going to reserve my opinion so far until we see what he's actually all about. And then we get Nitara. Man, a character we have not seen since Armageddon, I believe. The only vampire in Mortal Kombat. So it'd be really interesting to see what role she plays in the story, what side she's fighting for, who she allies with. I think it'll be kind of interesting to see how her character plays out in the story. She does apparently have some dope-ass moves, though, and seems to be one of those characters that is able to pull off some really serious aerial combos. Yeah. And then we'll pop him up, go into the air, hit him again, get up there, Yeah, those aerial combos, man. And then we come to the JCVD skin, Jean-Claude Van Damme. This is really interesting to me, and I think it actually fits in really well. Not so much that Jean-Claude Van Damme himself as a character, like as a human being, makes sense in Mortal Kombat, because it kind of doesn't. But if you kind of pull out and look at it more meta-like, right? What Jean-Claude Van Damme actually means to the company, what Jean-Claude Van Damme means to the title, the series, the franchise of Mortal Kombat. It's really interesting that they put him in this game, especially since this is Mortal Kombat 1. It's the reboot. They're redoing everything. They're starting from the very beginning. So it's really cool that they have him in here. I'm sure a ton of you guys already know that the original Mortal Kombat back in the early 90s was originally, before it was ever Mortal Kombat, before even the twinkle in Ed Boon's eyes, in John Tobias's eyes for Mortal Kombat existed, they were trying to make a Bloodsport game with Jean-Claude Van Damme. So the only reason the entire Mortal Kombat franchise even exists is because they were trying to make a Bloodsport video game featuring Jean-Claude Van Damme. That got scrapped for, I don't know, legal reasons or for issues with licensing or something like that. But they ended up turning that game that they were working on for Bloodsport into the first Mortal Kombat. And that's where we got Johnny Cage from. They took the model that they were using that was going to be Jean-Claude Van Damme and turned it into Johnny Cage. So having this like 30 years later come full circle, the whole story, the lore is being reset. This is like Mortal Kombat 1 again. So to see JCVD in this Mortal Kombat 1, it's like bringing the whole story of Mortal Kombat full circle all the way back to its very inception. So this is not only an interesting cameo because it's a famous actor and stuff like that, but it's like historically significant for the franchise. And that's what makes it so interesting to me. I'm not even a big Jean-Claude Van Damme fan. He was never my favorite action star. He was never my favorite martial artist. But to see him in this actually kind of warms my heart. I said it once and I'll say it again, man. NetherRealm Studios has been going back and forth on the design of Reptile, but I think we can all agree this is top notch, baby. This is final form. This is the best Reptile has ever looked.
Your race can shapeshift.
Look at that. Oh my God.
Your deliverer.
All right, so here is where we start getting to some new stuff, some possibly controversial stuff. I am not the greatest fan of Kronika. I think this is Kronika. It hasn't been confirmed, but it's the only person who even remotely looks like her, given her style, her eyes, everything about it kind of screams Kronika. I wasn't the biggest fan of Kronika. I felt like the entire concept of Kronika was just one giant MacGuffin for the game, right? The hourglass, it's what everybody's fighting over. I'm curious to see how they're playing this out. You know, Liu Kang created this entire universe going all the way back to the Big Bang of the universe. And somehow he's like, yeah, I'm just going to let Kronika be a thing. I'm going to let Shang Tsung be a thing. So that kind of leads me to believe that while he is the creator of this universe, maybe he's not as powerful as we all think he is. Maybe he's not quite as in control of everything as we thought he was, because why would you let your greatest enemies even exist, let alone have any type of power? So
Shang Tsung, join me.
And then we start getting to some interesting things. We see here, it looks like Shang Tsung is grabbing at a floating crown. Now, I know the first thing everybody's going to think of is Kronika's crown, which we just saw Kronika's face right up front and center, close up, and then they switched to this scene, implying that it's probably something like Kronika's crown, which I do think it is something like Kronika's crown, but I don't think it's her crown exactly. I don't think it's the crown that has anything to do with time or the timeline. What I think this is, because if you look really closely, the design on it is that of a dragon. The area where this is located has giant pillars of green energy. In Mortal Kombat, green energy is related to souls or soul magic. So I think, especially given the scene that comes immediately after this one, is I don't think that's Kronika's crown. I think that's the Dragon King's crown. I think that's the crown that lets him resurrect his undead army. Because as we see in the very next shot,
and I will put the...
He picks up the crown, the undead army acknowledges it, and it has these undead warriors also have that green soul energy flowing through them. So my hypothesis to this is Kronika changes the fate of Shang Tsung and leads him to this power that he needs to start messing with stuff. And I think that's going to lead him to Onaga's crown, Onaga's ability to command souls and resurrect the dead. So I think that's where it's going to go. We see something cool happen here. We have young man Shang Tsung with the dark hair. And then he calls in his assist. But when he does it, look, he turns to old man Shang Tsung. So he shapeshifts mid-battle. I don't know if that's going to have an impact on his game mechanics. Like if he has a different move set as old man Shang Tsung compared to young man. It might be completely aesthetic and has no bearing on the mechanics of the game itself. But it's kind of neat that they're letting him do that. And then this, of course, is a little bit different as well. We haven't really seen anything with Shang Tsung is regarding souls per se. I mean, there was that scene where he looks like he's grabbing possibly Onaga's crown. But aside from that, it seems like Shang Tsung in this universe doesn't have his soul magic yet. He doesn't seem to be absorbing people's souls or taking their souls. I'm sure they probably will bring that in at some point. But they're leaning really heavily into this alchemist kind of version of Shang Tsung right now. Where, you know, we see him trying to sell potions and stuff to civilians. And then eventually we see him strap on these hypodermic needles that apparently have maybe the Tarkat disease in it. And then even now in his fatality, he's got this potion vial that he spills into his opponent. So they're really leaning into this more kind of alchemist sorcerer kind of vibe for him rather than like the soul sorcerer. But that's yet to be seen. The soul sorcery part of Shang Tsung is a massive part of his character. So I bet that by the end of this game, at the very least, he'll probably be snacking on some souls. Alright guys, that was the Mortal Kombat 1 official launch trailer. We saw a bunch of neat stuff in that. Wasn't the greatest trailer in the world. I feel like some of their previous trailers were probably a little bit more hype, but that's not to say that I'm not hype about this game. You know, I've followed these characters my whole life, essentially. I followed these characters all the way back from the arcade in the early 90s, and I've kept up with them. I've played every single Mortal Kombat game that has ever been released, I have played. From start to finish. It's my favorite fighting game series of all time. We saw some cool stuff in here. Got to finally see a little bit of Shang Tsung's gameplay. Got to see the Jean-Claude Van Damme skin. We got to see a little bit more about Melina. We got to see the fact that she actually has Tarkat blades in her hand now. So this game is shaping up to be really interesting, and I cannot wait to play the story mode. I absolutely cannot wait to see all these new origins for these characters, the evolution that they're going to take. I'm super excited. I'm super excited for the whole future of this franchise. And I hope you guys are excited for it too. I hope a lot of you guys out there are Mortal Kombat fans. And if that's the case, if you enjoyed this video, if you can't wait for that game, go ahead and hit that like button. Consider hitting that subscribe button to help the channel out. And as always, guys, leave a comment down below. What other videos you want me to check out? Is there any other web series, any kind of trailers, things for games, or whatever you got? Leave it down in the comments so we could check it out in the future. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for watching the video. Take care of yourselves and have a great day.